This happened to me when I was 13 years old, during the summer break of 8th grade. I am now 21. One summer morning, I decided to go get some food for my sisters and from a restaurant which is roughly 1.4 kilometers from our house. I went alone and walked to the restaurant, got the food and began walking back. On that specific day, I applied some very thick and bold eyeliner for fun, expecting to receive a few glances here and there. As I exited through the restaurant's parking lot, I walked past a tall man with dark hair who appeared to be in his late 30s. He stared at me the entire time we walked in each other's direction. He was walking towards the restaurant, and I away. I didn't think much of it because I had just assumed he noticed my flashy eyeliner, and this was something I expected at the time. Upon passing him, I continued making my way home and jaywalked across the road. As I did this, I noticed that to my left, a car stopped to allow for another person, behind me, to jaywalk themselves. I looked around to see that it was the same man from earlier, but wasn't he going the other way? I thought. I stepped onto the sidewalk and began walking home at a fast pace. I sensed the man's footsteps behind me fastening as he talked to someone on the phone, suspiciously loud. I clearly heard him say over the phone, something along the lines of "I am coming there, I will be there in 5 minutes and don't worry," as if he wanted me to know that he had somewhere to be. His walking speed gradually became jogging, and out of fear I looked behind me as he stopped right beside me and asked, "Tu parles espagnol?" I had an idea that he was asking me if I spoke Spanish, and I hesitantly said no. To get to my house, I took a shortcut which is more of a secluded path across a park, as I normally do. Now that I think of it, specifically in that situation, I shouldn't have taken that path considering this creep was walking by my side. I was quite naive back then and didn't think much of the situation. This man continued to walk by my side and continued to make conversation with me, talking about geography and his family heritage, while also asking me questions about myself. Where are you from? How many siblings do you have? What are your favorite subjects? I went along with everything he said and also added on to the conversation. I think that due to being so nervous, I just went along with it, because I just didn't know what else to do. Now, of course, I wouldn't entertain his conversation and would say, "I'm in a rush." At this point, we reach a fork in the path. I took the right path, hoping this man would take the left one, but to my surprise he followed my turn. Now as we continued walking, we entered a more secluded patch of grass. I distinctly remember what he told me specifically at that spot, which began to ring all the alarms in my head telling me this man was not normal. I should have realized that long before. He said something like, "You are very smart for a girl your age. You are not like the other girls." That's when I realized I needed to do something to get out of the situation immediately. Up ahead I saw another intersection which led to the opposite path from earlier. I then asked him, "Which way are you going from here?" He then says, "Oh, I was supposed to take the opposite path from earlier, but I like talking to you so much I took the same path as you so we could talk longer." At that moment I felt a mix of fear and disgust. As we near the upcoming intersection, he then says, "Well, I guess I do have to go this way now. Do you have your phone with you so we could switch numbers? I really enjoyed talking to you." Now note, the entire way I was clearly uncomfortable and he was the only one talking with my mumbling a few responses here and there. I told him, I don't feel comfortable doing that. We just met and talked for a few minutes. He then starts pushing it and gets visibly annoyed. "Come on, do you have any social media? Instagram? Snapchat? Let's switch. I would love to meet you again." He came off as aggressive and I began fearing for my life. "No, my parents wouldn't want me doing that. Sorry about that, He then backs up and says, "I respect your decision. Again, it was great meeting you," and then leaves. You can clearly tell that this man was not normal, and that he probably didn't have good intentions approaching a young girl who was alone. I am lucky that he decided to eventually leave, and looking back at the encounter, I wish I hadn't done what I did and stayed in the more public zone with other people.